The job showdown between Florida and Texas continues as both governors try to incentivize businesses to set up shop in their own states. Joining us right now on how they are investing in America is former GOP presidential candidate Governor Rick Perry of Texas. Of course, our guest host today, Governor Rick Scott of Florida. And Governor Perry, thank you for joining us this morning.
It's my honor to be with you. Thank you. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. Don't try to get any companies I'm after today, all right?
You know, it's perfect to have both of you here today to talk a little bit about what you're doing to try and capture business and create a good business environment. And Governor Perry, we've been talking about this morning with Governor Scott. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening in Texas right now and why you think Texas is a great place for people to invest?
Well, let me just say that it's having governors like Rick Scott who are competing against you or against your state that make you get up every morning and put your game face on and come with your best game. And it's that type of competition. The 10th Amendment allows us to compete against each other, or it should. Let me put it that way. With this federal government, it makes it a little more difficult. But our state has been one that for the last decade, taxes, regulation, legal system, and accountable public schools. That's kind of the simple playbook. Have as low a tax structure as you can, a regulatory climate that is fair and predictable, and a legal system that doesn't allow for oversuing. And then government tries to get out of the way the best that you can make it and let the private sector do what the private sector does best. Over the last year, I believe 332,000 net total jobs, I should say, created in the state of Texas, and nobody else got close. I tell people, without the state of Texas creating the jobs that it's been creating, the president's job creation totals would look pretty pathetic. So the bottom line is, it's not the president creating jobs, it's these states that are creating jobs.
Governor Scott, that sounds like a little bit of trash talk.
Oh, gosh. I mean, Texas is tough. They have now. I've let Governor Perry know that he will soon be number 2. It's great to be. It's okay to be number 2. But, you know, Texas has been number 1 for 7 years in a row in job creation. If you look at CEO Magazine, they're number 1 last year. We went from 6 to 3, so I'm hoping this year when they come out in May that I can beat Texas. But we compete. I mean, I'm competing. Almost every company, big company I'm competing with, they're thinking about Texas. They work hard. It's taxes, regulation, and attitude. They go after them, and so do I. So,
have you done tort reform like Texas has?
Absolutely. Well, we have loser pay. We have this year I had a big bill on auto accident fraud reform, and the trial lawyers were absolutely on the other side of that because there's a lot of abuse. So absolutely, we've got
how big a problem is that?
Oh, $1 billion for a year.
Really?
Oh yeah. In Miami, until this bill passed, for a family making $40,000, they were spending $1,800 to buy a $10,000 personal injury protection policy, just a small portion of auto insurance. But I got the bill passed, and so rates should come down. But it's $1 billion of absolute fraud.
Governor Perry, go ahead, sir.
Rick brings up a really good point about reforming of the legal system. Back in 2003, we had a medical malpractice reform bill, tort reform, if you will. And I think 5 years later, there were 20,000 more physicians practicing medicine in the state of Texas than there had been in 2003. And with this big debate going on about Obamacare at the Supreme Court right now, obviously there's constitutional issues of which Florida and Texas are both suing to find that unconstitutional. But one of the other issues that has a huge impact on medical costs is tort reform. And allowing the states to, or I should say allowing the states, again, I'm not for federal tort reform, but I'm for states passing reforms to protect doctors and hospitals and nursing homes from frivolous lawsuits. It's made a huge difference in the state of Texas, and one of the reasons we've been able to drive down insurance costs in my home state.
Governor Perry, what's your game plan if the Supreme Court does not do anything to overturn the health care bill?
Well, obviously, we're in the process right now, as we have been for the last year, of analyzing what our options are going to be. Prior to finding out that this administration misrepresented the cost of this bill, it was going to be a $27 billion price tag over the next 10 years for the state of Texas. Now we find out it's not $900 billion of cost, 1.76 trillion, excuse me. worth of cost. So those numbers are going to escalate. The cost of this bill to the states is going to be absolutely stunning, which was the plan all along, is to force insurance companies out of the business of covering people, force the states to raise taxes to just unheard of levels, and then we finally get the federal government being that single-payer process.
Mississippi, though, is one of the states that is opposed to this new law, but they are going ahead with some of the pools that have been set up. They have found a way to go ahead and start implementing some of that. Would Texas do the same?
Well, I don't know. On the exchanges, we decided not to go forward on that because, frankly, we don't believe that this program is constitutional. We don't believe that it's right, and we know that it's going to just basically bankrupt the states. California will be bankrupt if Obamacare goes into place because of certain parts of that bill that require you to maintain your level of involvement. It is just stunning, the cost to the states if Obamacare does become the law of the land.
Go ahead, Governor.
Well, I think Governor Perry said the same thing. You can't afford it. I mean, already Medicaid is growing faster than our state's coming back. Well, but Medicaid's growing faster than our general revenues is growing. So and with this expansion, you just can't afford it. So states are going to have to say, can we even afford to be in the Medicaid program? Would we be better off to just come up with our own program and have no money from the federal government? Mm-hmm. I think all the states would like to have just a block grant. I think Texas would like a block grant. Just tell us, give us the money. We'll take care of our citizens. If I don't do the right thing, or if Governor Perry doesn't, we won't get reelected.
There you go.
But
Governor
Rick,
Perry,
that's not how this administration functions, though. I mean, you think about all the programs they've tried to push down upon the states, whether it's this women's health program right here in the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. They basically say, we don't like the way that you are overseeing that program. We're going to force you to allow Planned Parenthood to give these services. And the state of Texas passed a law back in 2011 that said Planned Parenthood and or their affiliates, because their abortion providers, are not going to be involved in our Medicaid program. That is the state's right to decide that. But this administration says, no, here are strings attached. They've tried it with unemployment insurance, they've tried it with public school funding, and now they're trying it with health care. They want to run our states, and we say no.
Governor Perry, let me ask you very quickly about the job situation. Yesterday we heard from Ben Bernanke, who said that we have seen improvement in the jobs market, but he doesn't buy that this is anything more than a temporary turn in jobs. He's very worried about some of the long-term structural problems. You've seen a lot of job growth in Texas. Is it for real or not?
Well, it is in the state of Texas. I don't know what Bernanke's looking at, but I've had that problem with him for a long time from the standpoint of trying to figure out what Bernanke's doing at the Fed.
Well, I remember what if he comes down to Texas, he better think twice about that, remember?
Listen, I just think they're so out of touch with reality. Printing more money is not the answer. We know that.
Right.
It's reducing the tax burden. It's having a regulatory climate that's fair and predictable. That's how you give confidence to the private sector. This isn't magic, and it's not rocket science, and Bernanke and taking his instructions from this administration, obviously, it's not working. And long term, we have to get back to what we know works. When you look at Texas and our record on job creation, for the last 7 years, it has worked, and it has worked very well in the state of Texas. You want a blueprint for how this country needs to be focusing from a standpoint of job creation? Look at Florida and look at Texas.
That's the first thing Fisher said, that great Fed guy you got down there, too. First thing he said when he came on, Governor, was that it's not the oil economy down there. It's the tax environment, the tort reform, the lower regulations. The first thing he wanted to talk about. He wasn't even talking about QE3. He wanted to talk about that first.
Yeah, Richard Fisher's not a hardcore right-wing Republican either. I mean, this is a guy who actually understands how the economy works.
Texas Democrat, though. That's different. All right. Governor, thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you here in where Governor Scott's sitting someday, too.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
Good.
See you.
All right. Coming up.